you played in a lot of different places. You played pro ball, different colleges. Talk a little bit about that experience and what's something you always remember about it.
Yeah, so the journey, everyone's got their own journey. I'm proud of my journey and proud of where I came from and how I got to where I got to. But starting baseball kind of later, hard work was all I really knew, and that's all we kind of did was just repetition with my dad and other family. Got into Sarah High School, played there, went to De Anza Junior College, played there for 2 years. One of my assistant coaches got the job at Limestone University. It was a Division II school in South Carolina. Plays one of the best conferences in Division II. So I followed him out there, had a great time, and then got the opportunity to get into pro ball. And yeah, man, like that, and then from there, and then I got an opportunity to, represent my country 3 different times for Brazil, a couple World Baseball Classics.
Brazilian national team right here, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then won Pan America games. And, so just that whole journey, man, it was awesome. I think like everybody faces adversity. I think one of those ones for me, like I said earlier, I knew baseball was always going to be my ticket. And I always knew it was going to guide me to where I needed to be in life. And for me, like playing baseball was all I ever wanted to do. And I had a great support system, but I was not going to stop until I was fulfilled internally with what I did. And so it meant, going out, I needed to figure out how to get better at certain things. And I put the time in and outsourced. And, I started to see a lot of results throughout my career. And I just really wanted to see how good I can get. And you know what? And I think, in that process, it led me to a lot of good accomplishments, a lot of good feats, and it was awesome. And I think the biggest thing I can take away from that is, especially now coaching, is it's a craft, right? Like if you're a carpenter, if you're a hairstylist, if you're anything that involves having to get good, and you have to it's the lonely journey a little bit sometimes, but it's a craft and you always have to keep working at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means you have to outsource a little bit, man. Yeah. Like some people give up a little bit too easily. Some people just think, this is the way it is. And for me, I just never thought of it like that, man. If there was a problem, like I needed to solve it. That's who I was around. My family is nothing but problem solvers. My dad, tile setter. If there's a leak, like you don't just fix. Yeah, it has to get fixed. You have to figure out a way.
Solutions.
My mom's a hairstylist. If there's an issue with a haircut, he has to fix it. So for me, it's like, all right, if I'm going to get good at this and progress to where I want to, I got to get good at it, and I got to get creative and, network and figure out ways to help me get better. So.
That's one thing kind of building off of that, but just talking about Danny as a player that I always admired personally and how I think more players should adopt is your mindset towards the game, but also just understanding the idea of being open to different things, not just one way. Like I know, especially with your hitting journey, you went through all these different avenues to try and find it, because you just never know. This for anybody, not just hitting, pitching, fielding. There's not truly one way to do it, but you have to find out what makes you do it well, what makes this body swing it right, swing it in the proper mechanics. And just what I'm trying to say is that he always had an open mindset to it, and not saying like he's going all in on one thing, blah, 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 blah. But that mindset alone took you a lot of places and maybe you didn't make it to the big leagues, but as a player, but you maximized, for the most part, your ability, in my opinion. Like, not saying you couldn't have gone farther, but you checked every box.
For sure, yeah. And I think, I always knew I could do it. I showed a lot of spurts of it, of good, like, I've wowed myself. Like, how did I hit that ball? Like, I did something different, and then I tried to duplicate it. I tried to repeat it, and I couldn't. But for me, like, I was never afraid to like fail. You know what I mean? Like, I was never afraid to fail. I took it, and I was like, hey, like, this is gonna help me. Yeah, it is what it is. But like, it never shook me to the sense of like,
it's over.
I'm over now. So from the hitting standpoint, like it made me have to rethink some things. It made me have to be like, all right, well, I think when Donaldson came out with that, Josh Donaldson it changed the whole game. And so I realized, like, my dad used to say certain things to me, like, you got to rotate. You got to rotate. You got to get your hands back more. And I just never, and I would, and and at that time when you don't have a lot of resources, you're hey,
looking
like,
for
hey, I
him.
met this guy. I did a job for this guy. He knows this guy who
This guy,
coaches baseball.
yeah.
Go hit with him. And so they're teaching me, certain things. But my dad would always kind of like, hey, like you need to get your hands back more. You need to like rotate more and stuff. And those type of cues, they stuck with me. And like I said, I would have wow moments. But it wasn't until I got into pro ball and you start realizing, okay, like it's on you to really
figure it
succeed.
out, bro,
so
if you want to make it.
So for me, content started coming out, videos of different hitters start talking about their swing journeys, and I was like, man, like I need to branch out a little bit. I need to kind of get creative because I know I have something there. I just need to figure out how to do it. And you know what, man, like there's great teachers out there, and I was fortunate to kind of start and meet different people, and I found something for me that worked for me, and I think that made a lot of sense. It was the right verbiage, it was the right technique. Though, like in that particular style, like I really liked because it gave me what I didn't have, and what I knew I wowed myself with. Those were the techniques that I ended up having, just couldn't repeat it. And so I was able to find a couple people that were able to teach it to me, and I was able to figure it out.
I like a lot of the stuff that you would do with your training as well. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't just go lift the house. It was kind of, you were always in pursuit of finding something that works for you. So like, you did the jiu-jitsu, you worked at a
functional patterns.
You're working on biomechanical stuff that you might not see it, but it's fixing. You worked out at Sparta too, didn't you?
I did,
a little bit.
Yeah, my buddy Chase Spivey was training there. Him and I met.
You're working on biomechanics and stuff that you might not necessarily think it's helping your hitting or your running or your fielding or whatever, but this is what kids need to know is it's what you see at the major league level is a culmination of everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not just one-dimensional player. Hardly. If you are, you have to be insanely talented.
For sure. Yeah, and I think the cool thing was that I think when I was fortunate to work out at Sparta a couple times with my buddy Chase, they showed me a lot of innovative things that weren't necessarily quote unquote mainstream. Like, I mean, rolling out. Like when I started rolling out, people were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm rolling out my lactic acid. Like, you know what I mean? Just kind of, it makes me feel good. It keeps me in longevity. And then you start to see over the years, people are like rolling out now. And then I think as I've evolved, you start meeting different people that are on the same journey, same journey of playing. You start to see how creative they're getting. I mean, we've been fortunate to have a couple big leaguers, work out here during the off season, and things like that. And you just kind of start talking to them, and they're so open-minded and trying to maximize their performance. And so for me, it was just like, I just want to be able to maximize the body that I have and be able to leave no stone unturned. And if that meant like putting myself out there to a new concept that I never heard about before, or it seemed a little bit odd to the naked eye, and I saw results from it, like I was gonna do it, man. It worked. So, with functional patterns, I saw a lot of benefits to it. I saw a lot of my body changing. I started being able to use my body better as far as leverage. Jiu-jitsu's been, it's taught me that too. And now being full-time into it, like, it's just kind of gives you a different perspective, man. Like, if you go in there and lift the house, like, it's great, but there's more to it.
Mama, I made the network.